Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason. I'm speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today I'm doing a video that I kind of came up with recently, an idea that I wanted to talk about. Thinking about movie theaters and going to the movies. Do you remember going to the movies? I haven't gone to the movies in probably over a year and a half. Haven't been to a movie theater. Um, when I was younger, growing up and all the way to my 20s, even to my early 30s, I loved going to the movie theater. Every big release, I would go to the movie theater and watch it. I have to admit, I haven't been to the movie theaters as much probably in the last 5 years, except for the really big ones. I go for the mostly like the big superhero blockbuster movies and uh, also the Oscar-winning movies. I go and see in the movie theater because I want that experience. Uh, before everybody else sees it, and then they talk about it, and then I want to be in that conversation about the movies. Anyway, so sometimes I go see a movie just because I want to be in the conversation, or a lot of people are talking about it on YouTube and podcasts, and I want to know what they're talking about. I admit I haven't been watching as many in the last 5 years. I think a lot of that is because of Netflix and Amazon Prime, and of course now Disney Plus. There's streaming is the big thing. Streaming is so easy, and there's something about sitting at home on the couch in your comfort of your home. You can pause the movie when you want. You can get up, get food, whatever. It's a lot easier than having to drive all the way to the movie theater, pay the $10, whatever, to see the movie, plus another $10 for popcorn and drink, and sit in the theater with others and have to watch the whole thing, even if it's bad. Have you ever been to a movie where it was really bad, but you're like, I gotta sit through this. I paid for it. I'm gonna sit through it. I can think of Holmes and Watts. It was the last time I went to a theater, really excited, Will Ferrell movie, and sitting there, and after about 10 minutes going, oh no, this is a bad movie. I can tell 10 minutes in, this is not gonna be good. But I was like, I'm gonna stick it through. Maybe it'll turn around. It never did, but uh, you always have those moments where I always think if I was watching this at home, I'd just be like, I'm done. I'll go watch another movie. You know, stop watching it. Anyways, just say. But there's something about going to a movie theater that's can be very magical. All growing up, there's something really exciting when my parents took me and my two sisters to the movie theater to see whatever movie it was. Usually in the summer, probably. Uh, Go out to see whatever movie there was, what the big movies were, and that was a lot of fun going out with the family, getting to see a movie that. And usually when I was a kid, I usually liked about anything I saw. As I've gotten older, I've become a little more cynical, maybe. A little more judgmental on movies. I don't like movies as much. It seems like when I go to see them, I have a little more higher expectations in my mind. But anyways, so there's something really great about going to the movie theater and watching a movie for the first time, watching with a group of other people, having that shared experience. It's something really cool that haven't had for a while. It seems like I kind of miss for the most part. And I was just thinking about that, going to the movie theater, and I don't know. So I came up with a list of my favorite movie experiences. Not necessarily the best movies, though. They are probably a lot of these are some of my favorite movies of all time. That's why they're a great movie experience. But I just kind of coming up. I came up with 20 movies that I can think about that I was like, yeah, I remember really having a great time watching that movie and coming out of the theater and just thinking, man, that was a great movie. Really almost makes you really think or almost changes you in a way. Some of these movies I've come up with on my list are movies I maybe didn't have any expectations for, but I heard they were good, so I went and saw it, and I was totally blown away. I was like, man, this is like the best movie ever. I had no idea it was going to be that good. I love those experiences. Those are some of the best. Sometimes you have experiences where you do have high expectations, and you're really excited. Might be a franchise, might be the third movie in a trilogy, and so you're really hyped up and you go see it, and it's even better than what you expected. Those are really great experiences. And then sometimes it's just, like I said, going out to the movies with your family or friends, and just remember having a good time at the movies or something significant about that movie at your time in your life. Anyways, those are kind of movies I'm talking about. So I just jotted down 20 movies I can think of that really were significant somewhat to me. So let me start off with number 20 is the movie Taken, which came out in 2008. And this is a movie that I wasn't like totally excited for. I wasn't Liam Neeson. I knew about because of like Star Wars. He's been a couple stuff. Batman Begins came after that, or it came around that time. I think it came out 2008. Maybe Batman Begins, maybe even before that. So Liam Neeson was a person or actor I knew and liked okay, but it wasn't until I saw Taken that I became a huge Liam Neeson fan. Where anytime he comes out with a movie, I'm always like, I might go see that because I love Liam Neeson. I love his performance in this movie, Taken, and yeah, Taken. When I went and saw it, I was like so blown away by it. Loved it. It came out favorite movie of the year probably of 2008, fairly near the beginning or one of the favorite movies of that year. I don't know. There's something. I love the action. I thought it was shot really well, even though it's a lot of fast editing. I still enjoyed seeing Liam Neeson beat up these really bad people and beat them up really mercilessly. I really enjoyed that. There's something about most movies you see a bad guy or a good guy fighting the bad guys and he beats them up maybe a little bit and then he doesn't feel like he has to go too overboard, or if he has a chance, if a bad guy is doesn't is unarmed, he might not kill him because that would be wrong, or whatever. This movie totally changed all that, and I love it that it's like he doesn't care who you are. If you have anything to do with the kidnapping of his daughter, you are going to get hurt badly. And one guy gets tortured, which usually you're like, torture is bad, but in this case, I was like, yes, torture that guy. He deserves it. And I'm not a father, but if I was, I could understand that, yeah, you want to do everything you can to save your daughter. So, like, totally for that. He even shoots an innocent woman in the leg, which is like, good guys don't never do that, but he does it to get what he wants out of the person. And so I'm not even mad at him for that. I mean, it's a pretty incredible movie that he does some pretty unethical things, but yet I'm still cheering him on. Like, yes, kill these people. They are horrible. Anyways, but yeah, that was a movie I just was, man, this was such a good movie, and I love Liam Neeson now. Anyways, that's Taken at number 20. Number 19, I have A Beautiful Mind that came out in 2001. And this was when Russell Crowe was really he was really at the peak of his stardom at this point. In 2000, of course, he had Gladiator, which won Best Picture. He won Best Actor for Gladiator. So this is coming right after an Oscar win. I mean, he was one of the top actors in the industry for sure. There was a span here, 5 years, where he was the most popular actor or most sought after actor, maybe. And after seeing Gladiator, of course, I became a fan of his. I didn't know him until then. And so when this came out, of course, he was in it. Ron Howard's directing. I like Ron Howard. I think he's a good director. Of course, if you see my review of Apollo 13, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Anyway, so it was a movie that I was kind of like really interested in. I thought it looked like an Oscar-winning type movie, which it was. It won Best Picture of that year and Best Director for Ron Howard. And Russell Crowe was nominated for Best Actor, but didn't win, even though I think he really should have won for this movie, Beautiful Mind. But yeah, so that was a movie that I was like went into with some expectations, but I was really blown away by Russell Crowe's acting. I thought it was really great, the best performance he's ever given. He's given a lot of great performances. Like I said, I think he's one of the great actors of that time. He's kind of fallen off since then. You don't think about him as much, but at that time he was really big. And I just love the storyline of the guy. It's based somewhat on a true story of a person. It's a real person that they're basing it off of. But the whole idea of him, having this problem with schizophrenia kind of thing, where he sees things that aren't there, and having to deal with that. Anyways, I thought very, very good, dramatic performances and storyline, and it has a great ending to it. Anyways, that was a movie. And here's the thing I remember most about the movie. I think, and this is why I thought about this movie. When I went and saw it, I think I came to the movie theater a little late, and the movie was already starting to show when I got there, if I remember right. And I got there, and it was like already showing, so I had to go quickly find a seat. And of course, the only seat that were open were the very front row. Of course, you always want to avoid the front row because you have to have your head up like this and look up, and your head hurts, and you have to look left to right to see what was going on, and it's very uncomfortable. It's terrible. And so I remember having to sit in the front row and thinking, oh man, because that could like ruin the movie because all you can think about is like, oh, my neck hurts and this is very uncomfortable. Anyway, so I remember sitting there thinking, oh man, I got the front row. It's going to be terrible. And I remember watching it, just didn't even think about the fact that I was, had my head way up and I was in a comfortable position. And I thought that's because that's a good movie. The movie was so good that I didn't even think about how uncomfortable I was at the situation, that I was so enthralled in it. Anyway, so that's A Beautiful Mind, number 19. Number 18, if I can count, is Creed. Came out in 2015. This is a movie that I'm a big Rocky fan. I love Rocky. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. The whole Rocky franchise is pretty good. Not all of the movies are good, but it's a pretty good franchise. I love Sylvester Stallone. I've always enjoyed a lot of his movies. And when they came out with Creed, and it was this is Apollo Creed's son. It's a movie with him, but Rocky's also in it, kind of training him. And I don't know. My first thought was that this was like some kind of cash grab, that they're going to try to use Rocky's name to try to make money on a movie, on the sequel. And I felt like, do we really need another sequel? It felt like the Rocky franchise was over after Rocky Balboa. I felt like it ended on a good note, and like we didn't really need any more movies in the Rocky franchise. And I don't know, I just for some reason had negative feelings about the movie and thought I'm not going to go see Creed. But then I heard a lot of good things about it, and a lot of people were saying it was a really great movie. So I don't know, I finally got to myself like, well, maybe I'll go see it, see if it's any good. And it was another movie where I was just totally blown away. First time I see Michael B. Jordan in the movie, he was great. I think I haven't seen him too much stuff, but when I see him, like in Black Panther, he's always great. I think really good actor. Ryan Coogler, the director, did a great job. Also directed Black Panther. Um, I think wonderfully directed, wonderfully performed by, I said, Michael B. Jordan. Also, Sylvester Stallone gave a great performance, nominated for an Oscar for his first supporting actor, playing one of my favorite characters of all time, Rocky Balboa. And it's just, I wasn't expecting how good dramatic the story was. I mean, to me, it's probably my second favorite movie in the franchise, Rocky and then Creed. It's that good. I love what they did with the character. I love the dynamic between him, having his issues with his father, and then Rocky having issues with his son. And so there's this father-son dynamic and mentor dynamic that's so great between the two. And then just him kind of coming to terms with, being, a son that his father had with a mistress, and that he was almost like this afterthought, like, does his life matter? And anyways, so a lot of great, moments, a lot of great ideas being, philosophy, whatever, ideas being, about, not having a father and stuff like that. It's really good, really deep, way deeper than I thought it was going to be, and that was just an amazing movie. Anyway, so that's Creed, number 18. Number 17 is Inception, came out in 2010. Christopher Nolan, I mostly know for Batman, the Batman franchise, Batman Begins and Dark Knight. Big fan of Batman Begins. I think it's a really good movie. My favorite Batman film. I'm actually not a big fan of the other Batman films, like Dark Knight or the Dark Knight Returns. I don't know, I'm not as crazy about. And I've seen some other Christopher Nolan movies that I'm not crazy about. In fact, a lot of the recent Nolan movies, in fact, I hated. I think they're really boring. So I'm not totally crazy about Christopher Nolan as a director, even though a lot of people love Christopher Nolan. He's probably considered one of the top directors right now. But going into Inception, I wasn't sure what to expect. They had a great cast. Leonardo DiCaprio, always great performances there. Ellen Page was pretty big at the time. She's coming off of like Juno, and she's fairly big at that time. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt's always good, and there's some small performance with Michael Caine. Also, you got I don't forget his name, but you got some other performers there, really great. It was I didn't know what to think of the movie. When you see the trailers, you're like, I don't know what this movie's about. But I guess I was intrigued enough to go see it to think. I don't know if I heard good reviews. I don't remember why I went and saw it, but I must have thought something that it was good enough talked about that I went to see it. And anyway, went to go see Inception, and it's such a creative, original movie. In a time when you don't get a lot of original movies, it's one of the best original movies that we had in the last 10 years, for sure, 11 years, whatever we've had since then. But the whole idea when you watch it and you go, it's a dream within a dream, and you're like, what does that mean? Dream within a dream? It doesn't make any sense. But you're watching, and you're like, wow, this is such a amazing idea of a movie, and so complicated, so confusing yet so entertaining. And the last 30 minutes of the movie is like so great, so entertaining. How they're inside of someone's mind, inside their dream, and so of course there's no reality, so things are shifting, and the way they edit it, oh, it's just so good. Like when I saw that, I was like, I had to say, you gotta see this movie. I don't know what it's about, I don't understand it, but you gotta see it. It's that good. Anyway, so that's Inception, number 17. Number 16 is Forrest Gump. Came out in 1994. Now, I was about 11 years old or so, probably when this came out. And I remember, of course, Tom Hanks, I knew probably from some like League of Their Own, movies like that. Turner and Hooch, some of those movies. I really didn't know him as this great actor yet as a kid. I just kind of knew him more from his comedies. And I know I saw this trailers for this movie and it looked interesting, definitely looked intriguing. And my memory is my dad took me and my older sister Abby to go see the movie, and it was jam packed. If you remember, Forrest Gump was hugely successful. I think it was the biggest box office. It made the most money in the box office that year. Very popular movie. Of course, won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, a lot of Oscars. It was very big all around. Reviews were great. Remember seeing it, and I think it was so jam packed that we couldn't find three seats together. So I think we had to split up, and I think maybe I don't know if I sat by with my dad or sat by with my sister, and somebody else had to sit somewhere else. But I remember that was always kind of strange when you have to split up as a family because you're always looking to sit together, and you're like, oh, now we gotta go up and search for any chair that's open because there's just nothing open. It's so popular. So I remember having to sit somewhere else from either my dad or my sister, and watching this, and I probably didn't quite understand all the deepness of the movie because I was only 11. I think I thought of it mostly as a comedy because it did make me laugh. I remember as an 11-year-old, I did think the character was pretty funny, and I did enjoy the. I didn't understand all the history of Watergate and stuff like that, but I enjoyed the fact that he was like in these big moments of history. It was kind of interesting. I don't know, and I still just remember just really liking that movie. At 11 years old, I was like, wow, this is a really good movie, and I remember coming out, just yeah, that was one of my favorites of that year as a kid. Of course, now as an adult, I love that movie even more and more when I watch it. Of course, great soundtrack. I probably noticed the soundtrack when I was 11. I was a big Beatles fan. I was a big fan of the 60s, 70s era, even at that age. Or I was just getting into that music at that age. But and yeah, music was great. Of course, great dramatic performances and all that. Like I said, and it had some comedy in it. Anyway, so I just remember really making an impression on me when I was a kid. So it's Forrest Gump, number 16. Number 15, another favorite movie of mine as a kid. This is Lion King, the animated version, Disney animated version, back in 1994. I guess my memorable part of this movie for me was it was my birthday party, and I had like three friends over, and we went and my dad took me and my three friends over to see Lion King for my birthday. That was the thing I always loved doing when I was a kid, to take my friends out to a movie and see what the big movie was, because I was born in July, so it's usually the big summer movie or coming out. So whatever big summer movie was out, we go see, of course. And I loved animated movies at that time. Like I said, I was just turning 11 years old then, at 2000, if it was 1994. So it must have been my 11th birthday party. So I love Disney animated movies, and so that was the next big one after Aladdin, which was another one I'm going to talk about here later on my list, another favorite of mine. But yeah, that was a movie that I was like so blown away. Animation, that first animated with all the animals coming in, they're singing Circle of Life, and they all come to that rock, and Simba, the monkey does that famous, Simba pose, and that was just so amazing. And then yeah, it was a very funny movie. I loved it, laughed at it. Also very heartbreaking. I remember, when spoiler alert, when Mufasa, the father, dies. I mean, that is so sad. Even today, I get so sad when I watch that. As a kid, it's so heartbreaking. Also, love Timon and Pumbaa. Timon and Pumbaa is one of my two favorite characters of all time. I think in Disney movies, love those two characters. Of course, very funny. Of course, a little immature. I loved the immature humor when I was a kid. Don't like as much now, but definitely spoke to me as a kid. all the flatulence jokes and all that. And of course, the music was great, and yeah, and I remember just really loving that movie, and afterwards thinking, man, that's one of the best movies I've ever saw. So, anyways, that's Lion King, number 15. Number 14 is the movie Once. Came out in 2007. This is a movie, kind of a little independent movie, kind of a very low budget movie uh, that I don't know if I would have. The only reason why I knew existed was because I used to love watching Eber and Roper, the movie critic show. I loved watching. I'm such a big movie fan. I love reading movie reviews. I love watching movie reviews. Ever since even when I was a kid, I just always enjoyed watching other people talk about movies, and always want to talk about movies myself. Always loved talking about movies. Anyway, so I always loved watching Eber and Roper at the time. Of course, it used to be Siskel and Ebert, but then it changed to Ebert and Roper after Siskel died. And I believe it was Ebert and Roper. Eventually, Ebert had to quit, and Roper did it with somebody else, had different guests on. But I remember Roper especially talking about Once as a really great movie, and just really talking. And they showed some clips of it, singing them singing. And I thought, wow, that sounds kind of interesting. And I like musicals, so I don't know. It really intrigued me to go, I'd love to see this movie. Now in Kansas, we don't get all the movies here. We get the big ones, of course, but sometimes there's movies that don't come out here in Kansas that go out in East Coast, West Coast, big cities. But Kansas, or sometimes it'll go out in the big cities, and then a month later it'll come out in Kansas. We're just in Kansas, right in the middle of the country, where stuff comes to us a little bit later than the coasts or the big cities. And so this is a movie. A lot of times there's movies like this that I wouldn't be able to see, but there was a time there in Wichita. I lived close to Wichita, Kansas. There was one theater that used to show more kind of the movies the other movie theaters weren't showing. They showed more of the independent movies, low budget movies, the more limited release movies. So they would get them, and they're not open anymore. In fact, I don't think they've been open for a while. But it was great to every once in a while look and see what was there, see if there was a movie there that wasn't shown anywhere else, and get an opportunity to go see it anyways. And it happened to be that Once was showing there. Like I said, it probably, and like again, if we do get a movie like that in Kansas, it's probably only going to be around a couple weeks, and then it's probably gone, and because it probably doesn't get enough money, and so another movie comes and replaces it. So I remember when that movie came out, I really wanted to go see it, so I went and go see it. And I wasn't sure exactly what to expect out of it. I never heard of Glenn Hansard or Marquetta Glova, the two main character actors who are really musicians, not actors. Um, and so when I went and saw it, I was just so blown away by the music. The music was right in my wheelhouse. I love pop music, rock music, folk music, and this was kind of indie folk type music, I would say, and it was just my kind of music. I love the music so much, and Glenn Hansard has such an amazing voice. I love his voice. He has such a great, when he goes loud, it's so great. Like he has so much emotion. He's so good at getting emotion behind the words, making you really feel the song, and I really felt that way. And Ricardo Glover is very good too. Them together sound amazing together. Of course, the song "Falling Slowly" is like one of my favorite songs of all time. When I first heard that, I was like, "Wow, this is such a great song." I love those voices together. Of course, won the Oscar for Best Song that year, which I was so happy for. But yeah, that was an experience that came out. I was like, "Wow, this was," it was a really kind of sleeper hit movie that I was like that nobody knew about. So it was fun to go around and be like, "You gotta see this movie once," and I always loved the chance to show people that movie. Anytime I'm sitting, well, let's watch a movie, I go, let's watch Once. You probably never heard of it. It's such a good movie anyway. So that was such a great experience to me, seeing Once. That's number 14. Number 13 is another musical. In fact, I have a couple musicals here that I had a great experience with. Number 13 is Phantom of the Opera. It came out in 2004. I was in college at this point, and I took my girlfriend actually to this movie. And Phantom of the Opera is a movie that I've heard of, or I knew it was a big musical, but really didn't know much about the music itself. I think maybe I heard Music of the Night before, maybe a couple songs like that, big songs, but I really wasn't that familiar with the music for Phantom of the Opera. And so when the movie came out, I was very interested in going to see it and see if it was any good. I heard so many good things about it. I took my girlfriend to it. I remember, and yeah, once you get to the Phantom and he's singing "Music of the Night" and "Phantom of the Opera," and all these great songs, "Past Point No Return," uh, um, all these other great songs I can't think of on the top of my head, but uh, "Masquerade." Uh, uh, Man, so many great songs in there I never knew about. And as I was, I mean, this is maybe the best musical I had. Like I liked older musicals. I watch a lot of the '70s, '60s musicals. I feel like musicals kind of went down somewhere maybe in the '80s, '90s. '90s it was more the animated musicals like Lion King and Aladdin, all those kind. And then I don't know. It wasn't until I feel like Phantom of the Opera came out that I didn't see really good musical for such a long time. And then when I saw that, I was so like, wow, this music is so great. Like I had no idea. And Gerard Butler, first movie I ever saw him in. I mean, so amazing in that role as a Phantom, and now he's gonna have a really good career so far. And it was so fun to get to see that, and of course, all the actors actually sang their own parts. Sometimes in movies, the actor's not that good of a singer, so they have somebody dubbing the music, singing, and so it looks a little weird because they're just lip syncing the music, kind of, or I don't know, you just know it's not their voice coming out. So it was kind of fun to see that like they're actually singing. All the actors are actually singing their parts, and it sounds so good. I was like, wow, it was amazing. I remember as soon as that movie was over, like I went to Walmart and looked and see if I can find Phantom of the Opera, the soundtrack, and I did, and I bought it. Like right after I saw the movie, I went and I was like, I gotta listen to this music more, and I put it in my CD player, and I just listened to that over and over again. Absolutely love the music in that. Anyway, so that's number 13, Phantom of the Opera. Number 12 is another musical, another great one, Les Miserables, as I believe it's pronounced. Came out in 2012, which I can't believe came out that long ago. It didn't seem like it was that long ago I saw that movie. Time flies, but Les Miserables, another great musical that I really didn't know anything about. I had seen the movie version before in the '90s with Liam Neeson and Jeffrey Rush as Jean Valjean Javert. I liked the story. I remember really loving that movie and liking the story a lot. So I kind of knew the story already, but I knew it was a musical, but never knew anything about the music. Never heard the music before, and of course this came out, and of course you look at the trailer, you're just blown away. You're like, wow, this looks like a great movie. Of course, Hugh Jackman. Always liked Hugh Jackman, Anne Hathaway. So great cast. Russell Crowe again has a role here. And that was another movie that I had some expectations for. I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to get. And another movie where I was like totally blown away by the music. Music is amazing. Anne Hathaway's performance is one of the greatest performances of all time. I mean, so moved by it. Dream a Dream, such an emotional song, and the way she does it, she's done it like nobody else has ever done it before. I thought, of course, she won the Oscar deservingly for Best Supporting Actress for that part. Hugh Jackman, just a great best performance of his career, just a great performance. Uh, just so emotional again in his performance and the way they shot it. They shot it a lot of close-ups. A lot of people really criticize the movie because there's too many close-ups, but I like the close-ups. Close-up really show the emotions of the character. I thought when you have really great actors, um, like Hugh Jackman and Hathaway for sure, and Eddie Redmayne also great performance. Um, and I loved how they didn't polish up to the songs. Like a lot of times you sing the music that's in the movie is sung in a studio, so you get very polished. You get it, sounding really good. But in this movie, Les Miserables, they had they really just recorded them singing on the stage and used that. So it's not polished. It's a little ugly singing sometimes. I mean, but he didn't care. He wanted to get the emotions of the song, and I think he did so wonderfully. He got the emotions of the song so well. One Day More, just amazing song with all these different people singing different parts. I mean, it's just a great movie and great music. That's why it's number 12, Les Miserables. I think I'm gonna finish on this next movie and then make another movie for the top 10 because I've already taken about 30 minutes so far. So the last movie I'm going to talk about on this video is the movie Signs, number 11, which came out in 2002. M. Night Shyamalan, if I'm saying that right, of Of course, he was pretty big at that point. Of course, did Sixth Sense, which was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director. Got a lot of nominations for. Was a huge hit, very successful. Of course, I See Dead People, real one of the best twist endings ever in a movie. And then he did Unbreakable, which was a decent follow up. So this was the third one, at least the third major one I can remember, and it was about aliens and kind of an alien invasion. He's seen the aliens, but no one believes him. The main character, Mel Gibson, and his family, and Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix was coming off of Gladiator, so I love Joaquin Phoenix, one of the best actors working. Of course, Mel Gibson, very complicated person, very controversial person, but still I think a very good actor. In fact, I would say it's probably my favorite performance of his, Mel Gibson. Maybe Braveheart. Braveheart's really good too. But I thought he gave a great performance. Of course, and then we get a young, what's her name? Abby, is it Abby Spence? Abigail Spencer or something like that. One of her first movies. She was such a little girl, and she was really great. Of course, now then she went on to get an Oscar nomination for another movie, and had some real success as a kid actor. But that was the first movie I saw her in. I thought she was great. But it's such a great Signs was a movie that I don't know if I had high expectations for, maybe a little bit. Sixth Sense I liked, fine. Unbreakable was okay. I don't know if I thought this was gonna be a great movie. I thought it might be an okay movie. It looked kind of, got good suspense, a little scariness to it. And I remember I went and saw it with my older sister Abby, and I think, let's see, what did I say? This was 2002. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it must have been, that was a long time ago. But I was still a senior in high school. So I think I must have saw Abby, and she was in college. I think we saw it together. I don't know if anybody else was with us, but I remember seeing it with her. And anyways, that was such a great movie experience for a couple reasons. One is that I think it's about the most scared I've ever been in a movie. I mean, there were some good jump scares in that movie, with aliens jumping out, or aliens. Sometimes it was just aliens just walking past the camera that scared you, because M. Night Shyamalan does this really great thing where he'll put the camera in one spot, doesn't move the camera, and then you're just waiting. You're thinking something's happened. What's going to happen? Something's going to happen. And then eventually an alien would walk by and you're like, oh my God, an alien. Anyways, and I know this gets a lot of criticism because aliens don't look that great. The CGI isn't quite there. I have to admit, when you do see the aliens, maybe the CGI isn't real great, doesn't look great. At the time, I thought it was pretty scary, though, the aliens. But I think what was most thrilling about the movie is just the fact that you knew there was an alien around the corner, and you're just waiting for something to happen, and all of a sudden, boom, something happened. There's these good jump scares in it that I thought was real creepy, and in a good way. I usually don't go see scary movies, but somehow I kind of enjoy the intensity of oh my God, what's going to happen next? But I thought the performances were great, and there's actually some kind of humor put in it that really made me laugh that you weren't expecting. And I thought the directing was really great. I loved the cinematography. I loved the way the camera moves in the movie. Like I said, the way it stands on one point, and it's almost scary because you don't see what's happening. It's like you can scare somebody by showing what's happening, but sometimes it's scarier not even just seeing the reactions of the actors going, being scared, just almost kind of scare you. Like, what are they looking at? What's scaring them? That's such a great way of using that. And I think M. Night Shyamalan did such a great job. In fact, and there's also emotional part to it. There's actually a religious part to it that I liked, of someone who lost their faith in God and through the experience kind of regains their faith in God. I love that moment at the end. That was a really good emotional moment, really good feel-good moment at the end. And it's funny, after watching this movie, of course, I thought M. Night Shyamalan has got to be the greatest director working today. That's what I thought at the time. I thought this guy's going places. I mean, his movies, I was so excited. Anytime M. Night Shyamalan movie came out, I was like, I'm going to go see it because I think this guy is such a good director. Anyways, it turns out he's not a very good director. Several movies afterwards have been just total bombs. I don't know what happened. He did such a horrible job, and he's kind of a laughingstock in the industry, kind of, it seems like. But at that time, I thought this is the next Steven Spielberg. I mean, he's so good with the way he moves the camera and how he grabs intensity. Anyways, But yeah, I just remember coming out of the movie just being like, wow, like that was, such a great experience of suspenseness that I hadn't felt before. Anyways, so say what you will, I thought Signs was a great movie, and that was a great part. Anyway, so it's number 20 through 11. I'll stop it here and do another video from the top 10. I'm sorry, I just have such a fun time talking about these movies and the experience that I had. And so if you have maybe some good movie experiences of your own, I would love to hear that in the comments for watching this. And I really appreciate you watching and subscribing and liking the video. And thank you a lot. Take care.